Okay. I'm not prepared.
Okay. So that's okay. So one of the reasons, so how's everybody doing today?
Oh my God, are we live?
And of course we are. We have 10,000 viewers.
Whatever.
So one of the reasons that Dustin and I decided to do this was so that we could meet up and have a, let me mute my Facebook conversation. One of the reasons that we're doing this is so that we can practice our public speaking, yet while ignoring being in public all at the same time. So I figured, since this is a special episode, since Dustin's climbing a fucking mountain right now like a crazy person,
right,
we could just take questions from the audience and we could just go from there. Becky Powers is on. What's
Yay!
going on? What's going on, Faith? What's going on, Natalie and Bonnie and all the other people? John Koulas is in the house. What's going on? So if you haven't watched the show before, we do this every Monday night at 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Daylight savings is coming up, so we may have to adjust this to the right or left because we don't change space. And Dustin and I would call each other on the phone. I love how uncomfortable you look.
I'm so uncomfortable.
So it was a good thing.
I hate this.
No, it's all good. What's your unapologetically dope? That's what I'm talking about. So what's going on, Natalie? And it's just like, so yeah, like, what do you want to get into? Like, what's
I
coming
don't
up
get
for
to
you?
see comments. Is that what you're saying?
You can bring it up. So the way that I bring it up is I push my screen over and then I bring my Facebook, but you don't know how to log in from Facebook from your computer. So it's what it is.
I mean, I have Facebook open.
Yeah. So just go to the video and open the video, or you'll see, because I tagged you in it. And let's see what people are saying. Hey, I love your conversations too, Faith. Thanks, Auntie Faith. I appreciate you.
So you can still see me, right?
Yeah, I can totally see you.
Okay.
I'm not going to do anything. I've got.
Well, I opened up Facebook, so I'm like, oh my gosh, is that going to close out?
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying.
Yeah. So it's just like, I know me and you so Amber and I just recorded a podcast this morning. So if we don't have it, if we've run out of stuff to talk about, that may be why. But we're going to hang out here anyways for at least another half hour or so. And so, yeah, we're just going to kick it. So, yeah, this is Amber's. Is this your first time on Facebook Live ever?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's good stuff. So now, right on. Let's, listeners, what do you want to hear about today? What's
People are laughing at me.
They're not laughing at you. They love it. You just check it out. This is like one of those things where we're digging into deeper and challenging ourselves. Are you satisfied with your new haircut? Greg, I am very satisfied with my new haircut. I actually, when I got home, when I was sitting in the chair to get my hair cut, like as soon as she cut this like disgusting like upper beard hair that grows out of here on my face and doesn't grow anywhere else, I was like, oh, I'm so glad I'm doing this. And I got home and my wife is super excited about it. And I was just like, just remind me that I actually like this, so I'll go get a haircut again in 6 weeks instead of waiting for another 4 months. So yeah, I am. Thanks for asking, sir. What do you want to get into today? What do you want to talk about? How awkward this is?
Yeah, because I'm ridiculously, I can't figure out how to like see it. It's driving me crazy.
Yeah, just in the bottom right corner of the video, there's a little expansion thing. Expand it, and then it'll show the comments on the side. Thank you, Greg. I appreciate that. Tell us about a random act of kindness. A random act of kindness. 2 years ago, I received a challenge to randomly act. It was like part of this game that I was playing, and I went into a restaurant in Kaimuki called, why am I not able to think of the name? It's across from Mud Hen Waters. Natalie, what's that restaurant called? Anyways, I went in there and I walked through the restaurant and I just picked out the couple that I thought looked like they were enjoying themselves the most. And I paid for their dinner and I didn't tell anybody I told them it was imperative that they didn't know who it was from. And so that was like one of the cool things. Town. That's right. Town. And yeah, Like that's the thing that comes up. Yeah. What about you? What's the last random act of kindness you remember, Amber?
I don't know. I'm frazzled right now. I probably paying for somebody's Starbucks behind me. I do that a lot.
Cool.
Just because I've had it done for me, and it always feels really good. Like, you know, the thing about kindness is like it even if somebody, like, even if I don't need, like, monetarily, I don't need it, like the feeling that I get from somebody thinking to do that is just really, it's really awesome. So I try to do that.
Cool.
Yeah.
What's going on, Carl Sachs? What has your wife said about our family, and why are we so disconnected? Debbie, I don't know. That's a question for you. That's a really interesting question, though. And I can get in here if you want, but I don't know if this is the right space for it. But I'm all about being challenging. And so this is my opinion from the outside looking in. Like, elevate, be more. Complain less on the internet. This is just, you're going to ask. I'm going to tell you, complain less about shit. And, like, do you. Like, go out of your way. If you want family members to talk to you, because I don't talk to my brother a ton. Me and McCare actually had this conversation last night. So we're going to get really weird and answer your question right here on the internet. We had this question last night. I feel the more that I do me, and the more that I go out of my way to bring more of the things that I want into my life, including people that I want to hang out with, including activities that I want to participate in, including building a community the kind of way that I want it to be built. People whom maybe used to connect with me less, because they're really not about what I'm about. And if you're not about what I'm about, then we probably aren't going to kick it. And you will know that you're about what I'm about because you'll hang out with me. And I think that's just the truth. Like, if you call me like, hey, can we hang out? And if I believe that we're in integrity with our missions in this world to do stuff together, we will. And maybe we will, and we'll connect. And maybe that relationship will last 30 minutes. Maybe it'll last 30 years. And so that wasn't the case for me years and years and years ago. So there's 3 types of people in your life. Call this the 3 C's. You have comrades. What's up, Carl? You have comrades, and these are the people that are about what you are against. They are only there because you're fighting the same BS on the other side of the line. Then you have your constituents. Those people are about what you're about. They'll vote for you. They'll support your projects. They'll show up to your birthday party. They'll show up to your New Year's stuff. And then you have confidants. Those people are about you, period, no matter what. And so the reason I bring this up is because as you look in your life, and this is a really good test. This is a really good test. And Debbie, this is nothing against you at all, but that's just my opinion because we talked about both of our families in general. This is a good test. Look at the last 5 people that sent you a text message. Look at the last 5 people that sent you a Facebook message or commented on your Facebook posts. Do those people go out of their way to lift you up? If they don't, check in with that. And if you feel disconnected with people that live 5,000-6,000 miles away from you, I don't know where you live, honestly. I actually don't know what is going on with the connection with the people that you do see every day. Yeah, John, I appreciate that, man. I am freaking stoked. I really am. My life is freaking amazing right now. And thank you for noticing that. And it's been a long journey. We should catch up soon. And so, yeah. Who are your confidants? Amber is one of my confidants. She's currently in the top 5 in my life. We hang out 2 hours every single week. And that just, and I have 3 kids, and like, that's just, we make space for each other because we're important to each other. And so who are the people that you would like to share more space with, and then have a conversation with them? Ask them directly, how can I share more space with you? Like, there's no reason not to be direct about it, And then it's like, McCare and I live in Hawaii. We're very aware that that's 5,000 miles away. We're very aware that that makes it hard to stay connected with certain family members. And we actually considered, like, last November, to pull chocks and move back to the mainland. But then we had people over for Thanksgiving, and then we had people over for Christmas, and then we had people over for New Year's. And we're like, we're really stoked about the family that we have here. So we just don't want to change that. We're not ready to do that right now. We want to stay here. I don't know. What do you think about that? How come, who do you connect with? Who do you go out of your way to connect with, Amber?
You are definitely one of those people. I only have I only have a handful of people that, my circle's pretty small. So you, I mean, does my husband count? Do we count that? Or are we talking about people? Okay.
Number one.
So yeah, my husband's obviously number one. My parents, to an extent, I mean, I definitely, I talk to my mom, every week. We don't talk every day, but every week. And then I just have a couple friends, like two that I talk to on a weekly basis, or like two people where it's like, if I don't hear from them, or I don't, if I realize like a couple days have gone by, then I have to make sure that I reach out. But it's really small. So I don't know if that's good or bad. I don't know.
No, I think that's fine. I think at any time you can really only have 4 or 5 really, really powerfully connected relationships. And Amber and I talked about this a couple of podcast episodes ago about how last year, when I was in business with my good friends Kimi and Tara, and we were building a retreat, we hung out all the freaking time. We were working together. We were hanging out. We were confiding with each other. And then once the retreat was over, we hung out like a couple times after. And then we were like, hey, I've had enough, y'all. Like, I got to go move on and find other stuff. And so Kimi and Tara moved out, like Amber and Dustin moved in. Like, it was and it just happens sometimes. And so Carl asks, is it possible to have a strong connection with people and not to interact on a daily basis? Absolutely.
Yes.
So absolutely. And so one of the things, I went through this experiment, I talked about this last week in this video, is that 2 weeks ago, I realized that there was a problem with my number 2 relationship as my best friend. And I was like, I don't know what's going on, but there's something about this relationship that isn't evolving. And like, I couldn't really figure it out. And so I called him up. I was like, hey man, like something's going on. Like, I'm into my shit about this. I need something to update. And we ended up taking a break for almost a week. And the conversations, we don't text message anymore, is more or less what we figured out. We agreed that if it's important enough to say, that we can send a voice message or a call, like, period. My screen time has gone down 2 hours a day in the last I have 14 more hours a week now that I'm not freaking purposely text messaging him out of this obligation. And now we talk, like we have 2 powerful conversations a week, and we're like laughing on the phone instead of saying LOL and just being like, like we're actually like actual glee, like you can feel it in your stomach. And yeah, so I think, yes, I think it's actually more powerful if you give each other space. So when you do have conversations, it's substantial. And that could be with McCare and I, we sit on the couch every Sunday night and we drink wine and eat cake and cheese and crackers. And we have that's our one day a week where we have a really powerful conversation about random stuff. In this case, we talked about family and why we don't connect with other family members as much as we do with other people. And so, Debbie, if you're challenged with distance, who can you create a relationship there with where you're at? Because 5,000 miles is really far, and it's hard to prioritize people that aren't in your life or in project together like Amber and I are, Do you know, so John Koulas asks, on the subject of your friend circle, do you know your personality type, and how do you think that affects you with your groups? I shift back and forth between the promoter personality type and the debater personality type, depending on what day that I take the test. I fluctuate back and forth. And I have found that's later, Patty, you're awesome. I have found that I have to really know when to show up to lift people up. And I really have to know when to show up as a debater and like attempting to subjugate. I don't even know if that's right. Like subject my opinion on somebody else. And it's a balance for me. And I do my best to surround myself with people who aren't afraid to say, hey, Ryan, maybe you should check yourself. Amber's one of those people. Like, she gives me the side eye, or she's like, and so it's just so, yeah. And it affects my groups. It keeps me in relationship with people who are confident enough with themselves to check me. So those are the people whom I like today in this moment that I want to be around. And so like when Dustin isn't here, it's like, Amber, come on, this will be fun. And this is my version of checking Amber and helping her elevate. And
this feels like shock therapy. Just FYI.
It's good stuff. It's good stuff.
There's no filters on this. Like, I don't like it.
No, it's good stuff. You look fantastic. It's good. And I love your sweatshirt. So
thank you.
Does that answer your question, John? I think that would make me an ENFP if I'm promoting, or an ENTP if I'm debating. Carl asks, I don't get to see my kids as often as I used to. I constantly feel like a shitty father more than the times I went on deployments and was told I was abandoning my family.
What's the reason that you don't get to see your kids?
Yeah, I think that's a good question.
That would help me kind of know where to go with that. Someone said I want to do weird shit with them.
Yeah. Yeah, doing weird shit's the freaking thing. You're separated from your wife?
Carl, are you separated meaning like you're in a different state, or is it just you're in a different house?
Here, we'll talk on Greg's thing. Greg says growing a new friend circle is difficult lately. I feel the friends I have grown are toxic. Different house. He's in a different house.
Okay. I guess my first thing is like, why do you have, a set time and days that you're seeing the kids? Like, are you getting them every other weekend? Do you have, because it's perfectly, you can absolutely parent in different houses and set up times that you have the kids. And I did that. So I know that that's, so I guess
yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I feel like there's something like, I feel like I'm missing something. Like if you're just in a different house, then what is the reason that you can't see the kids often without getting, I don't want to pry, but it's like,
no, it's all good. So I think a good answer to that is, how can you meet them where they're at? And I think this is one of those things that we do a lot. Like, I know this was something that I used to do a lot when I was still in the Navy. I always wanted people to come to where I was. And then as I got out, I would always talk about meeting people in the middle. And then I realized one day I woke up in a cold sweat, like, I don't meet people in the middle. Like, it was just like one of those things. So whatever thing you're seeing in them, there's too much to text. That's okay.
Okay.
And whatever you're seeing in other people, and this is one of those things that I think that is true until we disprove it otherwise. One of the things that we see in other people that we don't like is either something you don't like about yourself, or something that you're currently working on developing less of. And so however people are showing up in your life, how can you find out how you do that same thing and eradicate it? And then I think this can tie to Greg's question as well. Greg, who are the 5 people in your life? Let's say take like a piece of notebook paper and write your names of your top 5 people at the top. It'd be like Mel, and then whoever your other 4 people are, and make those names like big, like mine is McCare, Amber, Dustin, Stephanie, Jason. Like, those are my top 5 people. Their names take up like the top third of that piece of paper. Then I have like a dozen or so names that are like these tertiary relationships that you talk like once a month. And when you do, you're stoked. The conversation's always awesome. You say how your kids and what's things going on. You guys share some cool anecdote, and then you move on. And so, and then you have like the bottom, like another 10 or so, where you can put names that, oh, these are names that I would like to be more important in my life. And then with that list, Greg, as you're looking at that list, you're like, are these top 5 the people I want to be my top 5? Do I want to move somebody up from the middle into the top 5? Do I want to move somebody from the top 5 down to the bottom third? And then ask yourself the question, what can I do how can I be in order to cultivate that? And I think the good thing is to ask that person, like, hey, would you like to have a relationship discussion with me? I would like more from this. I would like less from this. I would like this to evolve or devolve to whatever it is. And give yourself the opportunity to really put yourself out there, to be vulnerable, because I think that's the most important thing. And Greg, those toxic relationships that you're talking about, like, listen to the freaking toxic relationship podcast that we just put out 2 weeks ago or the week before last. And like check in how it says the only friends because of what I can do for them. What can you do more of for you that these friends aren't currently doing? And how can you bring more of that into your life? And you will attract people into your life that do that stuff. You know, like, and I know that that's a very simple law of attraction kind of thing, but the universe loves to throw you curveballs to be sure that you're, you know, completely in integrity with that stuff. But if you want to have more powerful relationships, sometimes you gotta cut people off to make space for new people to move in. And if you're growing at a rate, me and Greg, you and I just talked yesterday about this exact thing. Like, you're moving on and you're doing bigger things and you want to see the world in a different way. If your friends aren't ready or don't want to see the world in that way, like that gap it'll make itself. Like, the world will help you do that. And so you can intentionally do that, or you can wait for the world to break it off in a uncontrolled manner or something like that. So, you know, and Kyle, I agree. Life is always bringing circumstances to attempt to bring us back to center. It's always constantly showing us those signs. And, you know, hey, maybe you're if you speak your truth, how can it be toxic? Carl asks. This is a very, very good question. And if I started to speak my truth, and remember, I want you to look at, everybody's on a track, like an orbit, you know, and every once in a while, Mars and the moon, like their orbits, they're like in sync with each other, or they're in alignment, or whatever that is. So sometimes what I'm saying today could sound really good today to Amber, and then all of a sudden I say it tomorrow, and there's some sort of thing that has evolved in her life where she's like, you know, I'm not really about that anymore. And like, you know, if you're speaking your truth, how can it be toxic? The people, they get to define whatever is toxic to them. It doesn't have anything to do with you. And they're either about you or they're not, period. You know, and that, like, blood relationships, blood is thicker than water. It's only true in science. Like, it's not true anywhere else. Me and Amber are currently in alignment. We hang out a lot. You know, in a year, that may not be the case. It may not. It might be the case for 30 years. Like, we don't know that. And we will stay in this relationship as long as we both want to. You know? And sometimes that means, go ahead, Amber.
When it comes to like saying, like, standing in your truth, like, that's always important. I'm a big pusher of that. I try to do that as often as possible. I have learned, though, that sometimes it's not what you say, it's how you say it. I am one of those people that has a tendency to be really just abrupt and harsh sometimes. And I don't realize that I'm doing that. When I care about people and I care about things, I'm passionate. And sometimes that can come across to somebody else as really hurtful, or, you know, I've had to work on like softening the way that I say things to people, because if you're trying to tell somebody something that is really important, you want them to be able to receive it, and they can't receive it if they're defensive. So I don't know. When it comes to, like, if you're saying things that are, sometimes you can say things and it may not be toxic, but the way that you're saying it can be toxic. I have learned that.
So yeah, if you want something, you'll find a way. So this is like, just like Amber saying, like, standing up for who you are or being who you are to the nth degree. Sometimes that will rub people's the way they are the wrong way. And some people just don't belong together. And some, like tiny atoms, they repel each other. Like, this is just part of life. And if that relationship is important enough to you, you and that person, hopefully together, will find a way to adjust and compromise that you can remain together. And the truth is that Amber and I aren't in 100% in integrity with everything that we believe. We're not. And I'll just use us as an example because we're here. And I think as our paths are currently aligning, I think we're getting more and more close to that number. But eventually, at some point, like they will start to pass. You know, if you're in the Navy, Carl, like your closest point of approach, like that's when everything's dialed and everything feels amazing. And then something changes and then it just starts to spread apart. And you get to choose to stay in that relationship. And I say, as long as you both want to, when one of you finds that something isn't working, I say, sit down and have what I call a rules discussion. Say, hey, this is what I would like the relationship to look like. And your relationship partner can be like, oh, well, this is how I would like it to look. Okay, what can we pull out? What can we add in? Do you want to play with the free parking rule where all the bills and everything gets tossed into that corner and whoever lands there gets to take the money? Actually, I really hate that rule. I think it's unfair, blah, 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 blah. And so, okay, cool. I don't even care. I just want to play Monopoly. And so that way you can keep updated. I feel like I've said this like once a week for the last 3 months. So that way, when you're passing go and collecting $200, they're not asking you if you have any eights. And so I just think it's really important, because we'll go years sometimes in these relationships and not have these updated discussions. And these things happen and become updated all the time. Every single time something happens. And at a minimum, you should be having these conversations when a marriage happens, or somebody gets a new job or a promotion, or your daughter starts preschool, or somebody sells their business, or you want to start a new business. It's like every single time something you would deem valid and major, like these discussions should be had, so you can set proper expectations and not even in agreeing on what those expectations are, because expectations is one of those amazing things that you're not able to measure until you've had a conversation with somebody about that. So, yeah. Yeah, this is fun. I like it. See, this is easy. Just let people
speak for yourself.
Yeah, no, it's good stuff. I love it. So
disagreeing with someone doesn't mean you have to hate.
No, it doesn't.
No.
And Carl, if somebody hates what you're bringing or what your whatever is, like it has way less to do. And this is my opinion. And actually disagreed with me a little bit the other day. My belief is that when somebody dislikes something that you're bringing, that has more to do with their experience and their awareness of self than it does yours. You know, where do you find new high vibe friends as an adult?
Oof.
Natalie McCare does that work for our family. She does. McCare is so good. And like, she's so good. Like, we'll be wherever and she'll be like, hey, I just made best friends with these two people and blah, blah, blah. I was like, where did you find these people? McCare knows everybody. And that's,
thank you, John.
John Coulis is my boy. We used to work together back in the day. It's like freaking 13 years ago in the Navy. A long time ago. Yeah, I don't know. That's a really good question, Natalie, because I don't necessarily do a lot of friend seeking these days, because I have my groups like really dialed in, and I'm really, really particular about those people that I let into those groups. I've got like my family group. I've got like my internet friends. Natalie's one of my friends. We hang out with them every once in a while. They come over for holidays. But then it's just like, I don't know. It's interesting. McCare is amazing at that. You know?
I am not good at that.
I don't know. That's just not one of those 2006, 13 years. Yeah. So
I'm I don't trust people easily at all. I'm super, super guarded. So yeah, I really don't attempt to make friends. I have newer friends that have like come into my life in the last few years that I'm really close with now. And that has just happened despite me. Like, but also what's happened is, we talked about this in like our toxic episode, that I have changed some relationships that I have, and I have cut out some people that were toxic. And I have also changed some of my relationships that were like my top relationships, when I started realizing that there was a lot of give on my part and a lot of take on another part. And so I have kind of put some of those relationships down further. And when I did that, it allowed like some other relationships to kind of surface. And I started growing some like closer friendships with people that I didn't realize would be great friends because I just didn't have space at the time. So that's one thing that can happen when you kind of take out some toxic stuff and allow space to grow.
So I think Carl Sachs says learning boundaries is important. I think even more important is to set them. To actually set them, and that's part of that conversation. And maybe there's certain things that you and this person whom you're struggling with, like maybe you shouldn't talk about. You know, maybe there's certain topics that just, you know, we just won't talk about this. It is what it is. And McCarran and I have a safe word. We like, if it gets too heated, if our conversation's like higher than a 2 out of 10 and we notice it before we start yelling at each other, we just poodle it. Poodle, let's take a break. It's from my favorite book, so it is what it is. And Natalie, I guess to even better answer your question, like where do I find new friends as adults? Like me, I turn 40 next month. And one of the things that's so valuable to me right now is space and time. And to be able to do pineapple is your safe word. I like it. Makes sense. Is that I have like priorities. Like these are the things that are most important in my life. My family, meaning like my extended family, and my friends, like my top 5 people, they're the most important. And then the tertiary relationships fall into there as well. It's just they get a little less from me because I only have so much. And then my second priority is my business, like to include this live video, the podcast, my coaching, and then all the stuff that's tied to First Wakeups. And then the third thing is Dungeons and Dragons and yoga, which are like this is what I do to calm down, like to re-energize. And so like as far as my friend finding goes, like let's use the game group as an example. Or if Amber was like, I'm done, I'm leaving the podcast, like I would begin immediately looking for a replacement, like after I grieved because she left me hang. Thanks a lot, future Amber. I'm just joking. So and so it was just like, but if somebody left the game group, it's be like, all right, the game group is the most important to me. This is where I want my friends to be. And just for that. So like, that's just how I do it. I use what are the things that are most important to me in my life and how can I adapt? And then as far as like the friends that McCare brings over, she's a member of my family. She falls into my number one priority. I want to be friends with those people so she can be friends with those people. Because there's been couples in the past when we don't really mesh with the others, yet we're both trying to remain, and it just gets weird. And so I do a better job of including my family's wants and desires into my wants and desires and doing our best to talk about that stuff often so we can, line that stuff up. And then McCare brings so many people into our life that we'd be like, hey, how'd you like those people? Like, I definitely want to hang out with them again. Like that's just how we do it. So, yeah. Yeah. Anybody got anything else? I like this question and answer. This is cool. I want to share, not build use button. Also, minimize my screen time. Oh, dude. Yeah. John, I shifted my phone to grayscale. I stopped text messaging my main people.
What does grayscale mean? What do you mean when you say that? Like you turn the light all the way down or what?
No, see the phone it's gray. It's shades of gray instead of color.
Oh.
It drastically reduces how awesome this feels to look at.
Gotcha.
Yeah. And you can just turn it on. You can have a quick button. You just press the button 3 times. It'll turn it back to color. I have to disactivate that because I'll turn it back on without even noticing it. So I've had
it just makes it look generic and not appealing.
Yeah. It just makes it look less cool. And yeah. And that's like, I'm down screen time like over 2 hours a day, which is huge. Mm-hmm. Huge. So right on. Well, yeah, we can be done. Like that's it. Any last minute questions, comments, concerns? Amber, you got anything to add? Thanks for joining us today. This was fun.
I'm just uncomfortable.
I love it. All right, everybody. We appreciate you being here. Dustin will be back next week. He's currently on the mountain right now. Dustin is climbing Mount Kilimanjaro
That's
as we
crazy.
in his underwear.
I was gonna say, isn't he doing it like naked or something in his underwear? Wait, is it
Yeah.
cold?
Yes. At like ground level, it's like 70 some degrees, but it's like a 16,000 foot climb or something like that. And it gets super cold. And they're going from bottom to top, and like the goal is less than 48 hours. So
So did he say why in his underwear? Like that seems unsafe.
because Dustin's an insane person. That's why. So Dustin is a big fan of altering his state and the way that he
Oh,
sees the world. And he's a Wim Hof trainer right now. They do like the ice baths, and so him and a bunch of Wim Hof people are going out there to prove that he can do it. Like that's the thing. Like Dustin's a big fan of pushing against the soft, thin membrane of his reality to prove that being cold is this trained thing and it's not real.
oh,
Yeah. So like which is one of the reasons we started this conversation, because we'd just be talking about the stuff. He'd be telling me about breath hold. Dustin called me one Sunday night. It was like almost 10 p.m. here in Hawaii. So it was after midnight in California. And I was like, Dustin doesn't call me that often. We meet up, he's calling me and like gets on the phone. He's like, Ryan, if you're not doing the Wim Hof breathing at a minimum, he's like, you're screwing your creativity. And I was like, damn dog, it's late. But you wouldn't call me if this wasn't important. All right, tell me what to do. So I do this Wim Hof breathing exercises the next morning, and I held my breath for 2 minutes and 45 seconds.
no, you didn't.
I swear. 2 minutes and 45 seconds, I held my breath. And then after a week, I was holding my breath for 3 minutes and 20 seconds.
So you can actually train your body to like go longer and longer holding your breath.
Mm-hmm. So the way that this does it, it's like this is what it looks like. It's like you're forcing air in and then you're just letting it out. So you do 30 reps of that, and that hyper oxygenates your blood. And at the end, you let it out. And when it's neutral, you just hold your breath on the bottom. And I thought that was the craziest part, because you're not like breathing in and then holding it all within there. And
Oh,
just chilling in a chair or lying down, because you get really tingly and weird because you're getting hypocapnic, which is really just loading your body full of oxygen.
mm-hmm.
And yeah, I sat there. I was like holding a phone, like watching myself on this breath holds. And I was like, wait, what? And so I've done the breathing work off and on here since he's told me that. But then when it comes to the cold showers, I just ain't about that life.
I don't like cold at all,
Yeah,
ever.
cold is whack. So
I'm not about that.
yeah. So if you want to hear more about cold weather, what Dustin, then definitely check this back out. Yeah. Carl's definitely a snow guy, so he's all about the cold.
I can't wait to hear how that goes.
So, yeah, we'll see you guys next week. Unless he dies,
Ryan.
Hey, I gotta keep it out there. I gotta taking options for person number 5 if Dustin doesn't make it back.
Oh my Lanta.
I know. Natalie asks, how has my relationship to my body changed from yoga? This is how it's changed. I did a post about this a few days ago that said, week 10 of yoga. Do I have a 6-pack? No. Do I feel freaking amazing? Yes. Which is literally all I care about.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, Natalie is really, really, really amazing at challenging herself with her relationship with the mirror, which I will say is, Natalie, is that fair to say? Like she has shared her journey since postpartum and getting back into her stuff very openly. And I've called her to be like, hey, I need advice about this stuff, because she's really, really, Natalie, you're awesome. And so, yeah.
Does Natalie like work with people, and what does she do?
She is exactly what she does. I will connect you. I'll tag you here. Talk to Amber.
Because that sounds amazing.
Yeah, that's exactly what she does.
Work on that, because
So she's actually Natalie, what are you calling yourself these days? And I don't remember. My title changes from day to day. So yeah, so connect with Natalie. She's amazing. And for me, like, yoga is the freaking truth, because I get to move my body. I get to feel like I did a workout, and I also get to be quiet and focus on my breath. And the more I'm doing it, I actually stopped. I canceled my subscription at the studio down the street and actually got an online thing. And I'm actually doing yoga about twice as much because I was going every night after my kids went to sleep anyways.
Oh
And
my
now
gosh.
I'm saving 20 minutes from driving there. I'm
You
not
just blew
sitting
my
in the
mind.
car. Yeah. And now I'm doing
I
yoga like 5 or 6 nights a week
Do you know why I'm not doing yoga?
because you don't want to wear yoga pants in front of people.
No, I look amazing in yoga pants. That's not the reason. I wear yoga pants and I don't do yoga. So if that tells you anything. It's because like I did yoga a couple times and because everyone was really good. And I was really, really uncomfortable because I didn't know what I was doing and I looked really awkward and it was really hard for me. And so I just never went back because it was just I just felt really uncomfortable. Like there was these tiny people that were doing all these crazy things. And I was just like, yeah. I didn't even think about the fact that I could just do it like in my home.
You can literally go on YouTube and there's people I'm paying $8 a month for the program that I'm using. And it's just because somebody's cool advertising got me from this guy's book that I read and he's promoting it. So I was like, oh, I really like that guy. Here's my $8. And it's this yoga studio in Austin. And it's just these men and women who are like, go to a park in front of a cool sculpture and do yoga. And I just follow along. And it's got everything from 15 minutes to an hour on there. So like last night I did a 15-minute flow in my living room. And then McCare and I did our couch date like right after. It's been and again, that's like the overarching theme of space and time. Like, how can I make more of it? And so now I'm not spending 20 minutes because it's only 5 minutes to the studio, but I want to get there early so I could sit in my car and be addicted to my phone. And so I'm eliminating that. So I'm saving a half hour either side. And so with that, and if I was going 3 days a week, so I'm saving so that's an hour and a half. That's literally 2 more times a week that I can do yoga, and I'm still not using any more time, but I'm actually doing more yoga. So it's just all these ways for me. Like, how can I nuke all this out? Yeah.
Natalie said she's a relationship with body fulfillment coach. And that is like the dopest thing ever.
It's the dopest thing ever.
Love that.
Follow her on Instagram. She's Natalie, link your Instagram or link your stuff in the comments to all your shit. And then Amber can find you later. And if anybody else is interested in talking to you, Natalie, if she doesn't know this, you're on my secondary list, girlfriend. So you're important to me. So yeah. What's up, Jack Meadows, Rachel Robertson, and Annie? Yoga forever for the Leeward side. Great little studio. Oh yeah, over there, Leeward. Yeah, Amber's actually in Tacoma, Washington. So
yeah, I'm in University Place. Come on.
Yeah,
give me my credit.
UP, big UP, son. Cool. Yeah. So
we're been on for 42 minutes. That went by fast.
It does. It goes by so quick, and like we have like a hard stop at 5 p.m. So, and that's just is what it is. So yeah, we love your family. You guys are great. I remember when Natalie was one of the first people that McCare told that we might move, and she did not look happy. She was like, no, wait. I remember her face. And I was like, oh man, maybe we need to check in with us. Natalie, we're not moving. We like it here too much.
When you told me that, I was just like, who leaves Hawaii?
Like, yeah, it's ridiculous.
I was just like, that's crazy to me.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. So I don't even really know. Right on. Yeah, that was
fun.
Yeah, it's good stuff. All right, party people, that is enough from us. We will see you back here next week with Dustin. We will definitely bring Amber back in the process. I'm going to shamelessly plug Amber and mine's podcast, First Wakeups with Ryan and Amber podcast. Episode 23 drops tonight at 10 p.m. Hawaii time or midnight Pacific Standard Time or 3 she was not happy, or 3 a.m. if you're on the East Coast. So we will see you guys there. Definitely check us out. And Amber, thanks for joining me tonight. I appreciate you.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, of course. Right on. We will see you later.